Egypt's efforts to recover stolen artifacts are bearing fruit. An ancient coffin retrieved from the Metropolitan Museum in New York is among the high-profile artifacts recovered from around the world. CGTN's Yasser Hakim has more.
The 1,200-year-old coffin is the latest high-profile artifact to be returned to Egypt. The handover was personally supervised by Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri.
It is one of the most important artifacts. It is a coffin of a famous religious leader called Ankh Nejem, which means the beauty of life. He was an influential religious leader. The coffin was smuggled out of the country in the early 70s, and it was stolen and smuggled using forged documents and sold for £4 million to the Metropolitan Museum in New York until we managed to prove it belongs to the Egyptians this month.
In the same week, several artifacts were returned from Kuwait. Others were also recovered from Cairo airport before being smuggled abroad. This has reopened discussions over efforts to repatriate stolen artifacts.
Egypt can retrieve its stolen artifacts, but it needs a lot of efforts and diplomatic agreements with other countries to track these artifacts and documents to prove that they were smuggled illegally. It is a complicated process, and we have a special committee to monitor our monuments worldwide and retrieve it when it can.
Last year, the government has strengthened the penalties of smuggling monuments to long-term jail sentences, not just hefty fines like before. The retrieved artifacts are now being recovered at the Antiquities Laboratories. Once ready, some of these monuments are expected to be put on display at the Grand Egyptian Museum, due to be inaugurated in 2020. The Grand Egyptian Museum is to be the largest in the world at a cost of nearly $1 billion.
It's not just a museum, it's a comprehensive cultural hub. Besides the museum, there are cultural activities, cinemas, bazaars and restaurants. A family will spend the whole day doing many things. The display will be using the latest technologies to impress visitors.
Tens of artifacts have been moved to the Grand Museum from the famous Cairo Museum in downtown. More artifacts are being moved every day as part of preparations for the opening.
Moving the artifacts to the museum is a huge effort, and it's all being done by Egyptian archaeologists in cooperation with Japan's JICA organization. One of the most valuable monuments in the new museum will be the collection of Tutankhamun. For the first time since its discovery, the whole golden collection will be in one place.
Egypt hopes the new museum, known as GEM and situated beside the famous pyramids, will be another source of tourism attraction to the North African country. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.
To South Africa now, where a young South African artist is using his love for art to create comics that spread important social messages. Milo